Hello, and welcome to Zap the Gender Pay Gap, the podcast series where we expose the elephant in the room. The elephant's name, the gender pay gap. I am coming to you from Memphis, Tennessee, located on the banks of the mighty Mississippi River. Nestled in the southwest corner of the state, Memphis is home to the blues, barbecue, and so much more. I am your host, Gwendolyn Tucker.
Thank you so very much for joining me for this episode of Zap the Gender Pay Gap. I am your host, Gwendolyn Tucker. Look for me on Apple, Spotify, Google, YouTube, and other platforms where you find your favorite podcast. And please don't forget to like and subscribe. Leave a review. I'd greatly appreciate it. Women's History Month went out with a bang, and here we are, almost smack dab in the middle of April. Have you ever heard the phrase, April showers bring May flowers? I used to hear it all the time growing up, often when someone would complain about the rain, hoping it would go away. I would hear the phrase, April showers bring May flowers. Even as an adult, whether living in Florida, Ohio, or Tennessee, when I was tempted to complain about the rain, in my head, I would hear this phrase replaying over and over and over again. April showers bring May flowers. Somehow that would help me accept the rain because it was bringing in something good. I didn't know it at the time, but that phrase is an English proverb. According to research from Missouri State, the phrase April showers bring May flowers is a popular saying used often during the month of April, which is typically the time when the last bit of snow turns to all rain as temperatures climb. The increased rain shower activity sparks the beginning of flowers and plants to really start blooming. Often do we say popular phrases without knowing their origin or intended meaning? Well, here's the meaning of the phrase. One, the month of April, traditionally a rainy period, gives way to May, when flowers will bloom because of the water provided to them by the April rains. And then number two, by extension, it means that it's a period of discomfort or hardship can provide the basis for a period of happiness and joy. Now, think I can hear you asking yourself, Gwendolyn, what does this have to do with the gender pay gap? What in the world does April showers have to do with any of this? You know my reply, don't you? I'm very glad you asked, and it's this. During my days working in corporate, April was the time when my raise actually hit my paycheck. Talk about April showers. Those are the kind of showers I liked. By April, I had completed my annual performance review. I knew how I would be rated, and I knew how much my raise would be. And I was looking for that raise to hit my bank account. My annual performance review was a summary of the contribution I made in the previous year. For us, our physical or financial year coincided with the calendar year, which means our performance review summarized individual contributions for January through December of each year. In education, you hear about formative and summative assessments. Well, my annual review was a summative assessment of how I added value during the last year. It included documenting and discussing my performance with my boss, as well as resolving points on which we and where we didn't agree. Once that was done and agreed upon, then comes the rating. In our system, there was a 5-point scale, but the whole point is to rate whether you met, exceeded, or did not meet expectations. That rating was directly tied to the raise I would receive because it represented the monetary reward for how I had performed. The higher the rating, the higher the raise. Now, no company can pay you what you're worth. You're simply too valuable, but they can pay you what your contributions are worth. And the annual performance review is designed to do just that. How does it work in your world? I'm sure the process is similar, even if the timing is not. At minimum, there should be an annual review, a rating, and a raise. On a previous episode, I shared some research which showed that companies were budgeting raises for 2024. And I urged you and encouraged you to take as your mission and encourage you to accept it was to get that raise out of your company's budget into your bank account. My question is, how did you do? Did you get your raise yet? What about those April showers? When do you expect them to land in your bank account? Or will they keep going up that elephant snout? I've said it before and I'll say it again. My mission in life is to leave each person and place better than I found them. So on this podcast, I know no better way to do that than to zap the gender pay gap by one, exposing this elephant in the room, shining a spotlight on this thing that eats away at your pay, affecting your financial well being. This elephant has been wearing a mask, and I will keep revealing what it has been trying to conceal. In addition to exposing this elephant in the room, I want to disclose and will disclose some pertinent facts about how this elephant maintains a foothold, and in doing so, eats us out of house and home. And then three, to show you how to dispose of this elephant as well as its effects by finding and fixing your pay gap, and to do so for every woman who will listen and who has the courage to act. On a previous episode of this podcast, I shared three things I did in the first quarter of the year to get my ducks in a row. There were secrets that helped me set the stage for success at work. It is in episode 53 that I share in more detail, and a link to it is in the description. But briefly, here's what I found. I found that the top three things I could do in the first quarter of the year to get my ducks in a row were one, to compile my performance data from the prior year, two, to calculate how well I did, identify the performance rating I'd give myself even before I heard how my boss would rate my performance. And then three, to clarify goals, objectives, and expectations for the current year. These three actions should have taken place in the first quarter of the year. And when done, it really increased my chances of meeting or exceeding expectations for the year. So, in the first 90 days, when these three steps are taken, you are increasing your chance of getting a raise. Now, if you took me up on my advice, you're sitting pretty. But if not, you may feel like a sitting duck. Now, we kicked off the month with April Fool's Day, a day set aside to laugh about the games kids play. But we're not kids. We're not fools either. The month may have started with April Fool's Day, but we definitely don't have to end it that way. You work hard for your money. Don't you think it's high time you got all of it? Now, again, as I said before, no company can pay you what you're worth. You're simply too valuable, but they can pay you what your contributions are worth. It's April. You have 90 days under your belt, and if you played your cards right, your raise will soon be in your bank account. So, what's your next move? If you're not sure, I can assist you with that. I am grateful I get to fulfill my dream of showing women how to find and fix their pay gap. One of those women could be you. I have a few one on one coaching slots available. If you're interested in setting up a call to find out if we are a good fit, then message me. Go to gwendolynjtucker.com and click on contact. A link is in the description box below. So reach out to me there. Women, you work hard for your money. Let me show you how to take home all of it. Thank you so much for joining me for this episode of my podcast. I truly appreciate you and your support. On the next episode, I will show you how to improve your serve and increase your chances of getting your next raise. If you like what you hear, please invite a woman in your world to listen in too. I look forward to seeing you here next Wednesday at noon Central Standard Time for the next episode of Zap the Gender Pay Gap. Until then, please be well.
Thank you for joining me for this episode of Zap the Gender Pay Gap. Please rate, review, and subscribe to or follow me wherever you get your favorite podcast. I am your host, Gwendolyn Tucker. Thanks so much for listening. See you next time.